Hi guys, I'm Sam.
And I'm Nate.
And we're going to get to work on the back of this car. But we're starting on the inside so we can get rid of these old parking brake cables, which we're not going to be able to use anymore. So Nathan, you want to get those taken care of while I get the rest of the stuff ready at the back of the car?
So it's kind of hard to loosen this.
Yeah, we should have thought about that before we put those seats in.
I can just hand loosen it.
There you go.
So take off both of them?
Both nuts.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. We've got a whole table full of parts, 3x3 axles, stub axles, bearings and spacers and clips and seals and bearing caps and spring plate bushings and calipers and brake rotors and axles and CVs and torsion bars. All need to go in the back of this bad puppy. We've got all the backing plates and everything else pulled off, all the drums. We've got some rotors set on here temporarily just so I could pull out a stub axle to test fit some products at work. We've got these rotors just on temporarily so we could put on those big old tires from Kyle for temporary purposes. Now, we did pull those tires off those wheels because, like we mentioned before, we are getting some new wheels. I also robbed the starter out of this to put in the sand rail when we did the start on that. Engine's kind of hanging precariously back here, whatever. But today the mission is to get all this stuff out of the way so we can get a 002 bus box. I want to get this guy mocked up in there, and I want that going in the stock location. So I'm going to use the empty bus debug kit, put this transmission in there, but I'm going to do some modifications to the mount to get that front to drop down, at which point I'll probably have to cut the frame horns here and possibly here. We are switching to larger 930 CVs, so I'll probably have to cut this out. We'll have to make my own mounts or adapt the current empty mount for here. Essentially what we're doing is kind of a 10-degree kit, but we're using the empty kit instead of some of the pre-sold kits out there. There, Nathan, did you get them both?
No, they're stuck, so I need a pair of vice grips probably.
Oh, okay. All right. Have at it. All right. So give me a few moments while I get the rest of this stuff kind of wrapped up, and then we'll be back. You got the brake labels unloosened? Mm-hmm. Be able to just then you disconnect them from that lever bar. You got both nuts off?
Yeah. On both sides. You pushing on the passenger side? Okay. Okay. I'll pull. You push.
Free.
Trash.
Yep. Okay, cables are out. We got to disconnect our clutch cable. You want to grab a pair of vice grips?
Okay.
And then just sit here and
Loosen it all up?
Yep, loosen that cable up. In the meantime, I'll grab a 13, disconnect our ground cable. I'm going to go inside the car and disconnect our shift coupler.
Okay. There we go, got it.
Awesome. Got that disconnected. Got a 13mm that nut right there, that ground nut. And then I've got to pull our nose cone mount off. It's going to be a 1717 right there.
Disconnected the ground. What is that ground for anyways?
The ground is the chassis of the vehicle.
Oh yeah, duh. So that's why we hook it up to the starter bolt.
Yep.
So these look like some giant.
You got to pull those out too. Those are 13s.
Oh yeah, 13 right here.
Yeah, but we can just pull off this entire thing by pulling off these frame horn bolts, which I think are 27s.
Okay.
We got a big socket, the big dog.
Oh yeah.
Alright, we'll get the big dog impact. Dispose those out, put all the hardware on top of that box or that bucket over there. Mind your crock covered toes. One transmission out. All right, transmission is out.
I just hold the other stuff to get out.
pull that boot out of there.
Maybe pliers?
This mount's gonna have to be cut out. Get the Sawzall out for that. It's probably gonna be the easiest. So with that, I guess we can come in with a wire brush on the bottom of that. You can come in here and start cleaning all that up. I am going to...
This?
All of this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wash it.
Yep, I need to get that guy out of the way. Now, I think we need to move that clutch cable tube and the accelerator cable tube over. Use that. Probably use a... Ow! That was my head. I didn't need that anyway. Ow, that hurt. Alright, I'm not going to bore you with all this cleanup. We'll be back.
Here.
Cut some brake hoses.
Chaperini.
Treasury. Actually, keep a hold of them for mock-up.
Okay.
I just want to see what we can do as far as different locations on the shock mounts.
What?
You want to pull the brake rotors off?
Sure. On this side?
I got it. Boom.
Now it's really starting to not really look like anything, huh?
Yep, save that, keep that. Nope, just leave that one in there. Got me a 19mm wrench and the 19mm half-inch drive and the 19mm, or the big dog impact wrench. Save all this hardware, same thing down there. I'm gonna get to work on the other side, pulling those off, I think. Trying to get a hold of an IRS pivot bolt socket. I could have sworn I had one here, but apparently I don't. I'm not going to let that hold me up though, so if I have to make one, I will make one.
What's up?
Kyle's going to try and bring one by, but he has to go to Tempe first. So before that, I'm going to try and get these spring plate covers off. Is this one? Pull those off on the other side. You might need that to get them broken loose.
And then just break them off somehow? Pry them off?
What's that?
The thing?
The cover? Just get it broken loose. We're not going to be able to pull it off until we pull the spring plate out. Alright, so I'm going to make a tool. I'm going to weld these nuts, or I'm going to weld the end of this, grind it down flush, stack these together, and weld those in. Then hopefully we'll be able to put a nut or a socket on this and loosen that. We've got this guy welded up, 2 nuts welded to a bolt with a nut on it. I'll be able to put a 15mm on here. This will go into our IRS pivot bolts and we'll be able to back it out. At least that's the plan. Apparently, this isn't working that well. Just broke free. That didn't work. I'm going to fill that area with weld and see if that works. Let's give this a shot. Apparently not either. Ah, son of a gun. Nut broke off inside there. That might be a booger. Now let's see if I can't clean this up a little bit. See if I can get that nut out of there. Round 3 on this bolt. I got it to work.
Did you have to weld it again, or?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Did you just how that where you got it?
No. We both sided it out before I we got it.
Yeah, because then you might be like, oh man, I won't bring it, and then when it breaks something.
Boom!
Oh, wow.
That did the job. IRS pivot bolt, 2 washers. I'm going to put that on our bucket. And with that...
And this time I'm going to wear gloves again. Because I hate spending like 20 minutes washing my hands and I can just put on some gloves and not have to...
Boom! 1 trailing arm. Off.
Yay!
Let's get some more leverage. That might squeeze in there. Yeah. And now the nut is spinning free from the end there. Good Lord, there's a lot of torque on that now, isn't there? It's now spinning the nut free from the bolt. There's not that much torque in there. I cannot believe it's pulling that much torque through that thing.
So you can try weld it back together? Or?
Yeah, I'm gonna try weld it one more time. We'll see how it goes. Attempt 4. We'll see how this one goes. Got it. Kyle! What's up, dude? Bunch of nuts and bolts. Right. Attempt 4, and then a socket. But I got the bumper mounts in here. Let me get Nathan! That's good. Kyle's here. So we got the seats in. Got the front end bolted up. Disc brakes in place.
Man, you can
brakes
brake pretty
below.
quick. This thing's about to go in.
Yeah, well, it's about to have mounts made.
Nice. Hey Nate,
Yeah.
how are you? Looks good. You guys have been busy.
So, what did I do here? Here we go. This is what I did. This is the
And it
fourth
works.
attempt.
Nice.
Yeah, after breaking bolts off the bolt, or nuts off the bolt, and this is the fourth attempt.
And it's working.
Hopefully.
Somewhat working.
Somewhat working. Actually, I was going to call you as soon as I had this one done.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think it's working.
Yeah, then I'll probably get this thing out. There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
This is what I did.
Oh man. That
actually-
actually pretty good.
This is a nut welded to a bolt.
That worked pretty good.
Well,
And then
this
onto
was the
socket.
second nut. I
Yeah.
actually had another nut. That one broke off. So
That's perfect.
But yeah, I
It does the
actually.
job. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
You did that pretty quick.
Yeah. I was,
That's awesome. It looks good.
that's what good friends are for. Let's get that out the rest of the way. 2 washers on the outside. I'll get that. Here. Don't have a tool? Make a tool. Sometimes it's what you gotta do. Nate, you ready? We're gonna knock off the spring plates. Whenever doing this, this is the spring that holds up the car. So whenever you're like taking apart spring, coil spring, compressors, control arms with springs in them anyway, this is the spring. Once this lip right here gets clear of this is gonna shoot down. Ready? Boom. So that's all under spring load.
It's a bit loud.
And it's loud too. For stock ride height, I am just going to, or when I set this up with the new torsion springs, I'm going to use this stock mark as an indicator of our ride height. So this
Still a tread.
is what we're taking out, because this is smaller than our new ones that we're putting in.
And they're weaker.
They're weaker because they're smaller diameter, correct?
Yeah.
We got to pry that guy out.
And the reason that we have new these too.
We got urethane ones, yep.
Yeah.
We don't need that, we don't need that, we don't need that. We do need this.
Wait, so we don't need this though?
Oh, we do need that, you're right. Good thing one of us is paying attention.
I mean,
There. All right, toss those. Actually, I'm gonna engrave an L in this because you don't want to mix up left versus right, because this has been constantly twisting this way its entire life. If you're to move it over that way and twist it opposite, these are very prone to breaking. Yeah. From here, we have the empty bust to bug. I want to throw that in there, and then I might bolt on the front mount. Just slide that transmission forward to see about where we come in, and then we'll go from there to see what I have to do to the front. And this is the stock nose cone mount. Now, what would normally happen with this kit is this would bolt in over those stock mounts with some work apparently, and then that would push that nose way, way up. What we're looking at on the bus, this mount mounts here.
Oh yeah.
From there up to there, so that actually you end up cutting into the bottom of the bug
Oh, yeah.
and running that shift rod right here on top of the tunnel. I don't want to do that.
I get why you want to move that down now, huh?
I want to go
Oh, yeah.
into the stock position on the tunnel, which means I want to cut this mount off.
Wait, so
You know what?
that
I might as well just start by cutting that mount off.
Yeah.
Because I know that mount's got to come off. So I'm going to start with that. There we go. All right, let's throw that transmission up in place so we can get it all the way forward and see where we need to notch here and here.
So far, it seems pretty darn simple. So most of the time, it's kind of just a almost bolt on.
Nope. You
But
bolt it
then
with
you
some
have
cutting
to-
and some welding and some fabricating. All right, that's good. Yeah, bring it down a touch. From there, that'll kind of give us a good idea where we need to notch these frame horns out.
Yeah, huh? I mean, just a little bit, huh? I mean, pretty darn simple so far.
So far, so good. Yeah. Let me mark on the bottom sides, I guess, because it's easier to see on the bottom sides. Although I guess I can just sit in the top and hit it with the Sawzall and then come in with the angle grinder.
Are 002s and 094s
By the way,
like the same kind of shape?
same mount. Yeah.
Oh, so if later we got an 094
Four.
or 092, we could just put that in and take out the other one
Yep. Pull this guy back. So now I'm going to come through and
cut from there to there?
cut these guys open.
Hello under there.
Hi.
I can see you through the car.
Nice.
Empty under here now, huh?
Yep, good one.
There's like nothing. It's like the other car that we have.
Give it a mow. There we go. All right. Put her down.
Towel.
Put her down.
There we go. Huh.
And that is probably right where that rear mount needs to be. See that rear mount now?
I mean, that is in, huh?
If I'm not mistaken, those lower studs should go through there, which means that transmission should be going farther forward, which it can, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes way further.
All right.
Oh,
All right. Well, let's see if we can get some bolts
here, because
to line up those holes, and then see what we can do.
I mean, this one's almost lined up.
We do have some angle on it. Is it a 10-degree angle? I don't know. We could obviously drop it down. As it sits,
We kind of don't really want it to go any lower because of that.
well, that's the thing is we need to put the other drive flanges on
Oh yeah.
and see how much bigger they are.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I would honestly like to drop it down a little bit, but
Yeah. I
the
mean,
only way to do that is to loosen this and then see how far we can drop the back.
yeah. Which
I
at that
mean,
point,
if
then
we
you
cut
have
the
to,
cuffs out,
Yeah.
which isn't a big deal. We can cut it, get some more clearance for our CVs, and we can get the transmission to sit level. More level anyway.
Yeah. That
But
might.
we'd also have to drill new holes in the back of this, or
I mean,
cut this bracket.
is that angle good enough?
I don't know, let's find out.
Or at least
I mean, it's
lower?
not bad. It really isn't bad.
Yeah, it's not that insane of an angle, huh? Yeah.
Okay, so the car
Definitely
is actually at 0. What is the transmission at? Ha ha ha!
What?
10.6 degrees. And that's without the nose cone actually, or the front mount actually being held. That's resting right there. That's 9.9.
We might be good then, huh?
Buddy, I think we're just gonna rock to that.
Yeah. That's plenty.
That's perfect.
Yeah. That is.
Custom made 10-degree kit using the emptied bug to bus kit. Just have to cut off the front mount and drop the front mount. And on an IRS pan, after you notch the frame horns there, you can still clear a 930 CV joint. Swing axle car, obviously that's not going to be the same thing, but this is an IRS car, so we're lucky there. Yeah, you know what, let's just throw some bolts in here to line up the back of this mount, and let's check our clearances at the front.
Oh, there we go.
That's lined up now.
Wait, so how do you replace those?
How do you replace what?
The thingy things.
Pull out the cups. To give us a little bit more ground clearance underneath the bottom of the car, I've got 2 new holes drilled. This is the outline of the bottom of the transmission, and I can still clear this smaller diameter 15mm head nut to hold that to our plate underneath the bottom. So I am going to bolt this to the transmission, bolt this to the plate, and it's going to be solid mounted. And then I'm going to come up with some metal tabs. I've got some flat stock, so I can go make some templates that I can weld this to the chassis in place of our stock mount. There's our stock mount. That's the solid mount. That would have bolted to a transmission and then bolted in place. So this is just a type 1 solid mount. And then of course I could take that. So between this one or this one, I'm going to see which is going to be easier to fabricate and mount up to the car, mounting onto this plate. So let me do that.
Here.
All right, let me bring you guys in and see what we're going to have to fab up. I'm going to have to work on the angle of this piece here, whether I have to put a spacer behind here to move that out, and then cut this, angle this plate so that it matches the transmission, and then weld it along that crack and re-gusset it back up so it has a good angle on here. We've got plenty of clearance for our CV joints, even going over to the 930s. And underneath, I've got our nose cone mount, this guy, bolted to the transmission. We've got the new holes mounted up higher so that we're not sticking down so far. I've got to come up with some plates to weld to here and to the chassis to hold this plate in place. Once I do that, I can do the back. That's temporary. This is in its final position. Now I just got to weld it into its final position. That's it. We've got our 10-degree kit, so to speak. We'll be back after I fabricate some mounting plates.
Yeah.
Bye, Nathan.
Bye.
I have this template that I cut
Oh, that's what it is, yeah.
to go from the chassis here to the mount here. I took that and a piece of flat stock and cut out 2 brackets. Now I can come through and weld these brackets in place, and I'm gonna weld it to the tunnel first, get everything tacked, and then we'll come back and visit you. Not my prettiest welds ever, but I've got that welded in place on both sides. Got it tacked here and here. Now I'm gonna get to work on here. I'm gonna loosen these up, tighten these up to bring this mount straight in line with the back of the transmission, and then I'm going to loosen these up and see if I can't drop this transmission a little bit. Let me see what we can dig up while I let the garage air out a little bit from all the welding, smoke, and debris, and probably all the stuff that's burning out on the inside of the tunnel. And we get a lot more light back here with the garage door open, but we do get a lot more road noise, so I hope you don't mind. We've got a couple less degrees now. We've got the nose cone held in place. We've got the back of the transmission just resting kind of on that little nub right there. So we'll probably need to clearance that a little bit. Do you have that frame or the CV cup? 930 CV. We still have room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this mount right above this line here, basically above the frame horn bolt. Same thing on both sides. We're going to bolt this in place and then cut down the bottom of these ears to allow the transmission to drop and sit at the angle now that it's bolted fully to the transmission. Everything here will line up with the stud, and this will line up with the frame horn. As you can see, it's a little bit low right now. Could have gone a little bit better, but it is what it is. We've got our cross mount cut. I cut about 1/8 of an inch out of this side. It turned out to be about the perfect amount. I originally started on doing about 1/8 of an inch, but I was like, hey, you know what? 1/4 should be fine. 1/4 is too much. 1/8 inch works much better. With that, I'm going to go through and weld this guy in, and then I'll go back around to the front and we'll get the nose cone all finish welded in. And with that, this transmission will be in. And then we can worry about relocating the clutch cable and the accelerator cable, and what else we got to do?
No.
We got to shorten the shift rod.
The shift rod, yeah.
I think that's about it, but
Here.
all right, I'm going to get to welding that stuff. You guys will see you in a few minutes. All right, with that, Nate, you want to throw those bolts in?
Sure.
Is that not going through? Uh-oh.
Oh, just needs to be pushed up a bit. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Whew, thank God. Yeah. I mean, shoot, we might get this entire rear end eliminated in one day.
Everything else
most of it.
is relatively
Bolt on, huh?
bolt on. This is the biggest deal. Of course, we still have to shorten the shift rod. We'll get there. From here, now that that's set,
Can we put some of the back stuff on, or?
Nope. I need to weld this nose cone up.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can pull the transmission out. We can move the shift cables over and get those bridged over that way. Right now I need to finish welding this nose cone mount, and then we can pull the transmission out. All right. That was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Keep these on our bucket of parts. Let me grab a 15 so I can get this nose cone bolts off. Then we can pull this transmission out because it is all
Ready?
mounted and solid.
So now we're welding the what?
Now we need to relocate the accelerator
Oh yeah.
cable tube and the
Driver tube? Or the
pedal tube. Yeah.
clutch tube? So are we just gonna cut a notch off to the side and then just like weld the tubes to the actual chassis, or?
Yep. All right. Probably get the jack, and we can jack it up and out of here. Up and out. There we go. And down. Boom.
There we go. Huh.
When it's time to actually build this thing properly, we can brace this mount to here, up to the tunnel. This is going to be much stronger than just bracing it to the tunnel sheet metal. But we're not going off-roading yet. Oh, you know what else I need to do?
What?
I need to weld up the seams on the tunnel that I cut out.
Oh yeah.
So we can do that real quick. And you can watch. That'll be a little bit easier for you to watch. Get your mask. Now that that's done, the fun part now is moving these tubes over without a body saw. I've got to relocate these two tubes over here. So I'm going to drill a hole, and I'll come with an air grinder and open up that hole so that these tubes can move over here. I wonder if I can't get in here with another one. Yeah, kind of worked. If I can get one more up here, that would be really helpful. No, I don't think that one's going to happen. Nope, probably not going to happen. All right, air grinder time. There we go. I gotta come in here and there, free that one up. That's for our accelerator cable tube.
What?
Come see if the clutch pedal still moves.
Okay.
Hit it.
It does.
All right, awesome. Let's see if I can get this stupid cable through here. Good Lord. Thank you. That will do. All right. I'm going to take the Sawzall right there and right there. Move that accelerator cable tube over, or at least try to. That worked. I think that's enough to do that. There. Accelerator cable tube's over. Put a little buzz of weld on here and on there to hold that in place. Handle ain't pretty now, but I'll take a piece of metal, tack it on there, seam seal it up, and it'll be good to go. Like Volkswagen did with all that seam sealer there. Alright, let's stab this transmission back in, I guess. Just to get it up and out of the way. Apparently my angle of my dangle is wrong. Alright, drop it down.
Here. Oh, look at that, huh?
Alright, let's throw some bolts on the front.
Then the nuts, which nuts?
I have the nuts.
Oh.
And I have the bolts.
All of them? Want me to start on the front, or? Or what?
It's a 17 and a 15 and a 15. But
On what?
on the transmission.
Oh yeah.
And should be able to put these rear bolts in place. Get it started. And I'll start that guy.
Yeah, there we go, huh?
Alright.
Hopefully good enough.
Hopefully good enough to get us onto the trail and up. So we'll give those two.
Yeah. And hopefully shiftable. Which did we make sure that it worked?
Yes.
I think so.
And we're going to wrap it up here for the transmission video. Obviously, at this point, we've made it to the show and back.
Yeah.
Last week's video, we did the kind of the show, to the show, at the show, hanging out at the show. And now we're just going to show you all the work that we did to actually get this car running and driving and darn near street legal.
Yeah.
Almost, but not quite yet.
I mean,
We do have a license plate and we do have registration, so it's street legal-ish.
yeah.
It was a lot of work getting the transmission in place, but we got it in successfully. It shifts, it drives, it operates with the empty bus transmission to Beetle chassis kit. We were able to get the transmission in the stock location as far as the hockey stick goes, so that we didn't have to cut into the body, and we are able to run the stock shift rod. And with that, life's full of good people.
If you can't find one,
Be one. Later, guys.